Hi, today we're going to see how to use Java switch statement, which allows you to execute specific operations based on the value of a variable. First, let's say you wanted to print to the console the name of a planet based on its position in the solar system, going from the Sun. 1 would be Mercury, 2 would be Venus, 3 would be the Earth, and so on. The first way to do this would be to use a bunch of if-else statements in pair with an integer variable named position, for example. We would write that if the position is 1, we print Mercury, else if the position is 2, we print Venus, and so on. Well, what Java switch statement allows us to do is to write this type of execution flow in an easier way. Instead of if-else statements, you will have cases based on a specific expression. Here is how to write a switch statement. First, you use the switch keyword and give to it an expression that will be evaluated and on which you will base your flow. In our case, the variable that we can give the switch statement is our position integer. Then, you write curly brackets to open your switch statement, and in between these curly brackets, you will write your cases. A case is simply a specific set of instructions to execute when the expression given to the switch statement is evaluated to a specific value. In our case, we would print Mercury when the position is 1, for example. To do this, we can write case 1, meaning when our expression value is 1, do this set of instructions. Then you can write your instructions. In our case, we simply write to the console Mercury. Then, the final line of a case clause should be the break keyword. The reason behind the break keyword is that Java switch statement is called for through, which means that if you don't add the break keyword, all the following case clauses will be executed. Now that we have a case clause, we can write the others. Finally, Java allows you to write a special case clause, which is a default one, and allows you to write a case that will be executed when the expression is evaluated to any value that is not specified in any clause. This is basically an else clause. To have a default case, simply write default. In our example, the else clause, the default clause, should have a print statement that says, for example, that the position should be between 1 and 8. Let's give the position variable the value 2 and execute our code to see what happens. Venus is printed to the console, meaning that it is indeed the case 2 that is executed. As we said, the switch statement is for through. Let's see what happens if we delete every break statement and execute our code. We now see that Venus is the first thing printed to the console, because Java enters in the case 2. But it then executes all the following cases. We therefore have all the following print statements. A final note is that since Java Standard Edition version 7, we can use strings as expressions. Therefore, we could have a switch statement that works in the other way. For example, we could have the name of a planet, and the program would print to the console its position in the solar system. Let's give the value Earth to our expression and run our program. We see that the value printed is indeed 3, as we wanted. Alright, that's all for Java switch statement. I hope it helped, and if not, or if you still have questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below. And of course, if you enjoyed the video, remember to leave a like and subscribe to this channel to be notified of future Java and programming related videos. Thanks for watching. Take care.